Very good afternoon and welcome back to live coverage of the last throws of action for day 2 of round 3 of the 2025 BNL Karting Series season, being hosted here in eastern Belgium in the Limburg region at the place simply known as the Home of Champions. We've got 2 more pre-finals to go. We've got Mini Max, Mini Rookie, DD2 and DD2 Masters. Then we've got the final 2 qualifying heats of the weekend for both junior and senior. Those will be qualifying heat numbers 3 with A and B groups in respective battle. And then at around about 10 to 4 this afternoon, we go into finals time. The 6th opportunity this season to score well-needed and well-earned championship points before we come back to the Home of Champions in 3 months' time on the 27th and the 28th of September to conclude our road to Bahrain and the road to the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals. More to the point, let's give you a little refresher course about our circuit that we're racing at. We have been doing so since yesterday morning. The Home of Champions, Karting Genk, owned and operated by the Lemons family. Also the home of GKS Lemons Power, and also the 24 hours of Karting Genk, hosted in normally early May of each year. It's also the home of the BNL Karting Series and the Rotax Belgian Max Challenge. 2 championships where drivers can qualify for the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals. And it is into now its 5th operational decade as a powerhouse within modern day karting, hosting both national and globally recognised international events. It is in a clockwise direction. It measures 1,360 metres in total. What's more, this fast-flowing and very technical track that provides the blend of speed, commitment and also accuracy has 13 corners to negotiate. And it is a circuit that I've had the opportunity of commentating at since April of 2018. Up next now, it's the Mini Max and Mini Max Rookie pre-final. The drivers head onto the circuit for the penultimate time this weekend as we are getting steeled and ready for the 7 minutes plus an additional lap pre-final. This will then set the grid for the 12-minute plus an additional lap final, scheduled to take place at around about 10 to 4 local time. That's Central European summertime. So if you are watching in the United Kingdom, you are an hour behind us. So let's take you through the starting grid. Riley Morrow, winner in the qualifying heat, starts once again from pole position. He'll be joined by Sam Pollock Racing teammate Austin Aman on the front row. Row 2, it's Oliver Spencer from SB Motorsport and Lucian Smith from KR Sport on row 2. Tom Reed and Mick Klinkers, row 3. Harry Radcliffe and Jazz Hands Leo Livings, row 4. Logan Rolfe will be joined by Germany's Julian Dummer on row number 5. Ian Habits and Leon Herbos round out the next row. Follow that with a double Danish delight, so to speak. Not the Danish that you get in a bakery, though. Conrad Doyle will be joined by Finn Albert Jorgensen. Adi Kallenberg will be joined by leading Mini Rookie driver Kian Hay on the next row, ahead of Malte Holm and Arhan Qureshi from the UAE. Andreas Yerup will be lining up alongside the UAE via way of India's Atika Asif Mir. Lennart Köster and Paul Dussault line up on the next row, ahead of Felix Chang and Mikkel Gottschalk. Sebastian Dumozac and Trent Van Melek next up on row number 13. Ryan Rapadana, Thanalo Gamble, row 14, row 15. Augustin Hanik and Tian Vesnaya with Sasha Al-Jabrail, Milo de Koolsmaker and Noah Stayholder rounding out your grid. 33 combined drivers set to go into battle for 7 minutes plus an additional lap. The red lights are on the starting gantry, signalling the return to racing here this afternoon at the Home of Champions. So Spencer for the race lead. And so the new addition at SP Motorsport has got through. Wide moment there for Riley Morrow. Comes into the path of Tom Reed. Austin Amon dives to the inside. Recaptures third position. Lucian Smith will be in the mix of all of this, along with the likes of Mick Clinkers, Harry Radcliffe, Leo Livings. Livings looking for a move up the inside. Is that? No, that's Lucian Smith. Leo Livings a couple of carts back. So Lucian Smith makes it up to P5. There's Tom Reed chasing down Austin Amon. As we come across the line, Oliver Spencer leads from Riley Morrow by nearly half a second. And now Tom Reed really closing on in. So it is a strategy game as we're on lap number 2. Oliver Spencer, no surprise, fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 1.793. Austin Amon quickest in the opening sector. Ryan Rampart-Danath has just received a black and white warning flag from race control. So 5 minutes plus change and an additional lap means that these drivers will have to be having their eyeballs on stalks. As Riley Morrow really trying to put the frighteners on with regards to Oliver Spencer. Morrow dives through at turn 12. Retakes the race lead. Here goes Austin Amon bumping over the curbs, trying to get up the inside of Tom Reed and manages to make the move stick. So Morrow leads. Spencer to the outside, trying to get the switch back on the 122. Now he's going to get through at turn 2. That's a great move from Oliver Spencer. And now Morrow, is he going to dive through at 4? He's going to give it a try. They bang wheels. And this is going to allow Austin Amon to slide up the inside through at turn number 5. And now Oliver Spencer is being bump draft by Riley Morrow. Is going to dive to the inside at turn 6. That allows Austin Amon to get through. And there goes Lucian Smith. And all contact between Austin Amon and Tom Reed. Oliver Spencer stays ahead of them for the meantime. But wow, what a move from Lucian Smith in the 141 from KR Sport. Got 3 for 1 on that particular exchange. Now Morrow back up the inside of Tom Reed. They've got Mick Clinkers closing in on them. There is going to be an absolute plethora. Look at the peloton train now starting to emerge. And when I tell you this, that the entire 33 strong field covered by 8.7 seconds after the opening 3 laps. DN Habits is the driver that's the fastest one out there. Currently in 16th, has dropped 5 positions over the opening 3 laps. As there is Julian Dummer in the 185. He's through on Leo Livings. As Austin Amon continues to lead the way. Oliver Spencer now closing in on Lucian Smith in the 141 for that second place. As looks like Harry Radcliffe has just had a black and white warning flag from race control. And that is the number 113. Currently sitting in 11th position at the moment. So 1 step outside of the top 10. Andreas Jellerup from KR Sport has made up the most positions at the moment, along with Finn Albert Jorgensen. They've both made up 7 places apiece. Finn Albert Jorgensen started 14th. Riley Morrow now responds with the fastest lap of the race of 60.333 from the 122, who started on pole position. And currently rounds out your top 4. Change for the leaders. Lucian Smith gets ahead of Austin Amon. Here goes Oliver Spencer through on the inside at turn 6. Austin Amon is there waiting in the wings. So is Tom Reed from Strawberry Racing. And the 2 Sam Pollitt Racing teammates go wheel to wheel as Austin Amon gets passed by Riley Morrow at turn number 8. And now Finn Albert Jorgensen smells a little bit of blood in the water. The youngster from Denmark has an opportunity. We go into the final 2 minutes plus an additional lap. And now Tom Reed trying to get through on Austin Amon, and he's trying to bounce up and down in the seat. It's a 110 from Strawberry Racing, but he can't get quite through. Finn Albert Jorgensen throws it to the outside. Mick Clinkers waiting the wings. Lucian Smith now new fastest lap of the race. A 60.236. As Tom Reed dives up the inside of Austin Amman through at turn number 5. Amman gets the slipstream, returns and retaliates. Through into 6, retakes the position back into 4th, goes to 121. But whilst from 4th backwards are battling, the top 3 are starting to pull away. There's someone off at the top of turn number 9. Now, who is that? Is that Mick Clinkers? No, it's Leon Herbose. Leon Herbose is out of the race. The 198 from Bouvin Power. Drop down to 21st as we've got 2 more laps remaining. Lucian Smith trying to hold on with the race lead. The youngster from KR Sport. Oliver Spencer, the new recruit, the new boy on the block at SP Motorsport. Puts in the new fastest lap of the race, 59.885. And is absolutely going for it. Dives to the inside of the latest moment. Through on Lucian Smith. And here goes Riley Morrow. Bump drafting Smith. They're both going to get through at turn 6, and they do. Spencer demoted down to P3. Austin Amman and Tom Reed, Finn Albert Jorgensen, they are all closing in. We are going to have an absolute classic of a final lap in Minimax action here in this pre-final. We've still got the final to go, and if this is the aperitif, sign me up for the main course later on. Spencer to the inside of Morrow through at turn number 12. Last lap now underway. Lucian Smith has got some breathing room. As Finn Albert Jorgensen trying to go wheel to wheel with Tom Reed, and the Dane gets through. Riley Morrow through on Spencer. Austin Amman gets through on Spencer as well, but Spencer retaliates, retakes P3. This has given Lucian Smith the best opportunity in the world to take a race win. So more to the point, this is going to be right to the wire. Tom Reed through on Oliver Spencer. But we are coming down to the final lap. It is changing left, right and centre from second backwards. But there's one person who's going to be so happy to see something very, very shortly. That's going to be the checkered flag. What a drive. Lucian Smith from KR Sport wins the pre-final. He's done it, finally. The Sam Pollitt racing era has had a little bit of a bump in the storyline. Lucian Smith wins by nearly 0.7 of a second ahead of Riley Morrow. Austin Amman, Finn Albert Jorgensen, Oliver Spencer, Tom Reed, Leo Livings, Logan Rolfe, Mick Clinkers and Harry Radcliffe round out your top 10. The entire field, apart from Leon Herbose, at the end of the race, covered by 12.3 seconds. That says something, doesn't it? 11th, Andreas Jellerup. 12th, Julian Dimmer, Arhan Qureshi, Dayan Habits, Kian Hay, Conrad Doyle, Atika Asif Mir, Ari Karlenberg, Tren Van Mellik, Arlo Gamble round out your top 20. Paul Dussart, Malte Holm, Mikkel Gottschalk, Felix Chang, Tian Vesneva, Leonard Koster, Ryan Rampadanath, Augustin Hennique, Sasha Al-Jabrail, Noah Stehauder, Sebastian de Moisac, Mida de Karlsmaker round out the 32 finishers. Unfortunately, with 3 laps to go, we lost Leon Herbose, but Lucian Smith brings a little bit of victory to KR Sport here in Mini and Mini Rookie. Next up, we've got DD2 and DD2 Masters, the pre-final. So we come down to our last pre-final of round 3 of the 2025 season. It's DD2 and DD2 Masters. Their qualifying heat earlier on was 7 minutes plus an additional lap. But for the pre-final, it goes to 10 minutes plus an additional lap. And for those watching on the BNL Karting Series YouTube channel, you've just caught a glimpse of the man who has 5 wins out of 5 in the finals so far. The number 420 of Dams Racing's Zem Knopfjes. Manuel Tenschert in the 484 has been one of the dark horses so far this weekend. More fastest laps than I think anybody in any class this weekend. So whatever tactic he's had is clearly working. There is Antoine Barbaroux, the number 402 from Orin Concept on the outside of row number 2. To his inside will be the 417 of Shepherd Racing's Service BV's Len Nyes. Nicolas Guillaume, also a very, very quick peddler on the 444 Kart Republic chassis for SP Motorsport. There is Len Nyes. Good to have this man back in the paddock here at the BNL Karting Series. Still remember when him and Thomas Strauver, who's actually picked up a win at Circuit Paul Ricard in F4 Spain this weekend. So congratulations to Thomas. But great to see so many different talents moving up from this particular championship to more internationally recognised single-seaters, but also tin-tops as well. Zana Shriblack, the last couple of seasons, has competed in the GT Open Europe Cup, driving, I think, if I remember correctly, a Porsche Carrera Cup car, so a 911. And that's a nice bit of power to have under your right foot, about 500 horsepower from a 4-litre flat-six boxer engine. But as you can see, there are some slightly darker clouds circling the track here, but the humidity is still quite high. But once again, it will be a case of seeing how the pre-final works out. Then we'll have the final 2 qualifying heats for junior and senior respectively before a little breather before we get underway with the finals. And then round 3 will be in the books. And then it will be around about a 3-month wait until the 27th and the 28th of September, when round 4 will also be here at the home of champions, 1 week after the final round of the Rotax Belgian Max Challenge, also being hosted at this very circuit. The field being given the green flag and green light instruction to leave the dummy grid, as it's time for the DD2 and DD2 Masters pre-final, ahead of 10 minutes plus an additional lap of racing. Zem Knopfjes will start from pole position. He'll be joined by Mr. Fast Lap Merchant this weekend, Austria's Manuel Tenschert in the 484. It's Len Nyes and Antoine Barbaroux on row 2, with Nicolas Guillaume and Laurens Herboz rounding out the top 3 rows. Axel Hoos and William Christensen will be on row number 4. And then after that will be William Nordbeck and Wout Kirstens rounding out the top 10. Marco Drettenpreis and Frederick Zebis round out the next row, ahead of Christophe Capitain, who continues his run as the top dog in DD2 Masters. He'll be joined by Latvia's Gustavs Zusakos by way of Larkfield in the northeast of the United Kingdom. Kian de Brandt, Jeremy Brasler, Maurice Knopfjes, Dimitri Ostrovsky, Matis Ankans, Michael Becker and Bendit Sabo will be the last 2 drivers on the 21-strong grid as they head onto their official formation lap. So for those new to DD2, while it is a 125cc Rotax Max Evo engine with the power valve on the back of it, mated to a 2-speed gearbox. Can reach speeds of over 130 plus kilometers an hour, 0 to 100 kph on par with the modern day Porsche 992 Carrera 4 tin top. Okay, into the tram lines we go. The revs are up, lights are on, lights are out. We are underway. Good start by our pole sitter Zem Knopfjes. Manuel Tencher being hung out to dry a little bit. He's lost quite a few positions. Len Noyes is through. Nicolas Guillaume is through. Antoine Barbarou is through. Tencher was between a rock and a hard place. He's managed to keep a hold of fifth at the moment, ahead of Lawrence Herboz and Axel Hoos, who are pressurising the Austrian going through into turn 5 for the first time. Side by side between Kian de Brandt and Marco Trendenpreis, heading down the Europalan. But the field making its way through at turn number 9. Len Noyes not hanging about, trying to really get things done early doors and get through on Zem Knopfjes. Some of the drivers here this weekend, funny enough, are preparing for the next round of the Rotax Max Euro Trophy. And, well, the next round of their championship will, funny enough, be next weekend. So the good thing is, Len Noyes trying to do what he can. Meantime, Nicolas Guillaume through on Antoine Barbarou. That is for third place. So the man with SP Motorsport makes the move through on the 402 from RM Concept. Manuel Tencher is not giving up, not giving in. He's got Lawrence Herboz and Axel Hoos coming along for the ride as well. But Zem Knopfjes is being really hounded by Len Noyes. And the gap between them is about a couple of kart lengths, if that. Wout Kerstens gets a black and white warning flag from race control. Obviously just saying to the driver, we are keeping an eye on your driving standards. Meantime, the squabble for third place has really gone up fever pitch. Manuel Tencher through, Lawrence Herboz through, Guillaume now down into what is fifth place. Oh, here we go. I love it when you have the DD2s out on circuit trying to give each other, they're trying to one-up each other. It's a bit like Fortnite, trying to outdo your friends with the best kills you can muster. But more to the point, Zem Knopfjes is not being given any room to breathe at the moment because Len Noyes is constantly taking time out of the 420 from the Netherlands. So it's a case of how things will be. How close will the gap be? 0.22 of a second between Zem Knopfjes and Len Noyes in the battle for the race lead. Antoine Barbarou now back through on Manuel Tencher for P3. No, it's not. Oh, Tencher's done it again. He's forgotten about fastest laps. That now goes to Zem Knopfjes, 55.764 for the man from the Netherlands. Tencher just showing these young upstarts how it's done and saying, I've still got that spring in my step. And Barbarou is trying to keep pace with him. We have had a drama, however. Jeremy Brasler and Moritz Knopfjes are out of this race, I'm afraid. Meantime, Bendit Sabo up to 15th. He's being followed by Michael Becker, who now sits second in DD2 Masters. Guillaume through on Herboz, who's done the crisscross, the switchback through the final turn and retakes the place. And that's fifth at the moment, but Len Noyes. He's like, if anyone might remember the Disney film The Jungle Book, when Shere Khan is waiting for Mowgli in the reeds of the river. That's exactly what I want to paraphrase it a little bit. It's a bit like that Len Noyes is waiting for his opportunity, because the minute the Zem Knopfjes makes a mistake, if he makes one, Len Noyes will be quicker through than you can say the words Hakuna Matata, meaning no worries, because that is how confident Len Noyes seems to be at the moment. Now, with the cloud cover approaching the circuit, it has lessened the impact of the direct sunlight that has been hitting the circuit all weekend long. We're just about half time in this race, and the gap between Sam Knopfers and Len Noyes, I think since lap 2, has not exceeded 0.3 of a second. Manuel Tencher goes sub 55. Maybe he could upset the apple cart as well, the man from Austria, who loves his snapback hats as always. 54.989 for the Austrian, who is now only half a second from the man in P2. So we could have at least a 3-horse race for the win. Can Knopfers keep his calm head on cool shoulders ahead of the fast-charging Len Noyes, who has been all over him like a rash? Gap between the top two, 0.23 of a second. Another successive fastest lap by the man from Austria, Manuel Tencher. 54.765. He was over 0.2 quicker than the two men in front. Maybe Manuel Tencher will be the driver that might break the stalemate between the top two at the moment. Through into 7, now into 8. Knopfers has got the horse racing blinkers on. William Christensen, the 404 from Denmark, down in 11th place, has been given the warning flag. But meantime, I sense another little bit of someone searching for blood in the water. Michael Becker is 0.3 away from Christophe Capitan in the battle for DD2 Masters. Capitan 14th, Becker 16th. And now it's changed again because Becker's dropped a position. Capitan's gained one. But here at the front end of the field, half a second covers the top 3. And that time still, Manuel Tencher is 0.2 quicker than the two young individuals in front of him. Len Noyes being the youngest of the trio, if memory serves me correctly. Frederick Zebis has now also had a warning flag, so that was 4.68 that we had a warning flag. Wout Kirsten, so 1 from the Netherlands, 2 from Denmark, getting the obligatory black and white warning flag slap on the wrist. So 2.5 minutes to go. The breeze is starting to pick up here at the home of champions. But as I said, the cloud cover coming in. There are some grayer clouds up above. Now whether that's going to bring the weather into play. Is anyone's guess, but you never can tell what the weather in Limburg will do at a moment's notice. You can snap your fingers, then all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. I still remember my first ever commentary gig here, April 2018, 22nd of April, first round of the Euro Trophy, before the finals, the junior final on the Sunday afternoon through the lunch break. We basically had a thunderstorm, lightning. Good to hear from another good friend as well. Catherine Carret, the mum of Karol Stout, now running over in the United States. Good to hear from you. Hope you and the family are doing well. Sam Knopfers back at this moment is now leading by 7.5 of a second. And now Len Noyes is in possible danger of losing that second position, which will put him behind Sam Knopfers, provisionally on the row behind, the space behind Zen Knopfers. If Manuel Tencher has an opportunity to throw it up the inside, the Austrian will not need a second invitation. And he could get the run if he's close enough across the line. He's got to be within 1/10.5. He's 0.13 behind. At this moment, Len Noyes defends going into turn 1. We've got this and one more lap to go. And Tencher looked up the inside for the briefest of moments. Through at turn 2, but stumbled over the inside curbing. It compromised the entry speed for the Austrian and gave Len Noyes a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. But that light could be soon fading, depending on how late and brave on the brakes Manuel Tenchert wants to be. Knopfler at the moment is now going to be laughing all the way to the bank every day from Monday through Friday because he's got a lead of nearly 1.2 seconds. Timer hit 0. One more lap will go after this, as it is the penultimate final lap for DD2 and DD2 Masters here this weekend. Knopfler starts his last 1,360 metres. Dies in second. Tenchert third. Barbarou, Herboz, Guillaume, Axel Hoos, Wout Kerstens, Bendit Sabo. Great work there, my friend. And he's just put in the fastest lap of the race, 54.534. Seems like the Barrel Arts have the meritocracy on DD2 fastest laps at the minute. But Zem Knopfler's through into turn 6 and 7 for the final time here on lap number 12. Has done everything he's needed to. He's soaked up the pressure from Len Nyes, who's coming under attack now through turn 9 from Manuel Tenchert. Can Tenchert get the run on the youngster from Belgium? Coming out of the final couple of corners. We're about to find out as they exit turn number 11 for the final time. But once again, Zem Knopfler cannot be stopped at this moment. He wins the pre-final. Will Len Nyes hold on? The answer is yes. Tenchert takes P3. Head of Antoine Barbarou, Lawrence Herboz, Nicolas Guillaume, Axel Hoos, Wout Kerstens. And what a job by Bendit Sabo from Stone, dead last, to finish P9 ahead of William Norbeek, Marco Drittenpreis, William Christensen. Another victory for Christophe Capitan for RM Concept, 13th overall and DD2 Masters class winner. Ahead of Frederick Sebis, Gustav Zusarkovs rounding out the top 15 ahead of Matis Ankans, Michael Becker and Dmitry Ostrovsky. Finish on the same lap as the race leader. Unfortunately, we lost Kian de Brandt with Jeremy Brasler and Maurice Knopfler out very early. Next up, we've got our penultimate qualifying heat of the weekend. It's qualifying heat 3, Junior Max, A versus B, up next.
Why do you come here? Is this your career?
Or is it all about fun? A chance to get away and leave it all behind?
Or do you chase your personal best? Challenging yourself over and over again. Why do you come here?
Maybe you're here to collect moments. Good ones. And not so good ones.
Or you can't afford mistakes because you want that victory. It's all about this one moment when the hard work finally pays off.
This is the place that brings us closer to the people who share our story. Whoever we are,
Whatever we're here for, racing is who we are.
2 more races to go before we hit the finals this afternoon here at the Home of Champions. It's time for qualifying heat 3, A versus C for Junior Rotax. And here is your starting grid. Ryan Gander will start from pole position. Max Sidursky will line up alongside on the front row. Vince van der Holle and Frederick Flood Engelbrechts will be on row 2. Lars Lambers and AJ Berger off row 3. Antoine Silva-Venant and Albert Friend next up, ahead of Archie Lovett and Noam Barham. Sebastian Lersch and Harry Freeman, followed by Shun Sekaguchi and Bran van der Weyken. Jackson Gibson and Lieke van Berkel next up, ahead of Christian Sayers and Storm van Rossum. Olivier Chasse from Canada, Louis Radcliffe from the UK, Denmark's Ludwig Hansson, Romania's Luca de Muitru, Pauline van Praet from Belgium, Devon Yater from the Netherlands, Jenthe Moonen from Belgium, from Japan, Kazuki Kitanaka. Lionel Munguia might be starting from the repair area in the 209 from the Netherlands, followed by Boris Maximov, Will Archer, Rory Armstrong and the closer, Cole Denham, rounding out your grid. So the drivers are primed and ready for their final qualifying heats of the weekend here at round 3 of the championship season. After this, the top 36 will make it through to the final. Right, they make their way out of the final corner. The revs rise, the lights are on. Lights are out. We're underway and racing. Good start from the front row. Ryan Gandor leads the way. Max Sidursky hung out to drive by the 228 of Vince van der Holle. There's definite rally crossing there. 258 going through, and there's been dramas at the back end. Cole Denham, has come into contact. That's a Dams Racing driver, I think. And that will be the 262 Pauline van Praet. And they have both come together off of turn number 1. And both of them, as a result, have been compromised. However, it's going to be Ryan Gander at the front, second. Vince van der Holle, third. That is Lars Lambers. Max Sidursky now P4. Someone getting a bit opportunistic going through. That was definitely someone. I'm not too sure. It was a KR Sport Carts that went flying through as now we come across the line to complete the opening lap. And it's Vince van der Holle neck and neck with Ryan Gandor. The Belgian gets through and takes the race lead away from the Canadian. Now through into turn 3, 4 and 5. And on to the famed Europolan at over 100 plus kilometres an hour. Will Archer and Rory Armstrong in this race. They started at the back end of the field. They have both made up 10 places apiece. Jenthe Moonen in his own right has made up 9 places from 25th on the grid. Currently runs 16th. So with all the squabbles happening at the front end of the order, expect quite a few drivers that have got the pace to move up the order. Sidursky gets through on Lambers at turn 11 and gets through to take P3. There's the 297 from SP Motorsports. Right behind them, they've got Frederick Flood Engelbrechts from Norway, Antoine Silva-Venant from Belgium, Archie Lovett, Albert Friend, Bran van der Weyken, AJ Bergraaf. Storm van Rossum has just been given a black and white warning flag from race control. So the top 10 covered by 5.4 seconds, rounded out by Northern Ireland's Rory Armstrong. Vince van der Holle trying to get away from Ryan Gandor. Max Siderski trying to hold on to third place ahead of Lars Lambers and Frederick Flood Engelbrechts. Archie Lovett now up into P6. Ahead of Antoine Silva Venant. Albert Friend ahead of Brand has now been passed by Bran van der Weyken for 8th. AJ Berggraaf from SP Motorsport rounds out your top 10. Fastest lap of the race, Bran van der Weyken, 57.854. As now Siderski for the for second position. Gets through on Ryan Gandor, but the Canadian fights straight away. Oh, they nearly clashed sidewalls. Coming out of the final corner, and Lambers is bump drafting. He's going to lose out fourth if he's not careful, because Frederick Flood Engelbrechts from Norway for RS Competition is right on his tail. And now, well, Lars Lambers keeping it round the outside at turn number 5 on Flood Engelbrechts, who has to hold off and wait for an opportunity to get back through. However, the top 3 are now starting to pull away. Lars Lambers has become the cork in the bottle from 4th backwards. Some great racing at the moment. There's going to be a dive to the inside. I think that was Antoine Silva Venant down through on Frederick Flood Engelbrechts. That was a great move from the Belgian. It's more changes of position. Will Archer 16th, Rory Armstrong 18th as Engelbrechts gets through on Venant. And in the meantime, the 229 of Albert Friend gets through. That would have been on Archie Lovett from the UK in the 2:15. So 2 minutes and 40 to go, plus an additional lap. There are battles up and down the order. It is the fight for survival for some drivers in particular. Albert Friend goes off the circuit slightly with the left side wheels. He's got a DHR cart, I think, going towards his outside for the briefest of moments. So now it's fight or flight, so to speak. But there are so many battles up and down the order, it's difficult to keep an eye on them. Albert Friend versus AJ Berggraaf. Well, these two battled against each other in Mini. Meantime, Louis Radcliffe versus Storm van Rossum. Ryan Gandor, new fastest lap of the race, 56.775. As Friend and Lovett going to battle. Well, no, actually, that's Storm van Rossum from SR Solutions. And then just behind them, I think, might have been Noah Barham in the 213. Well, Rory Armstrong now has got halfway up the field. He's up to 30. He's up from 30th. Now is 15th. And he's ahead of Boris Maximov and Will Archer. All three drivers compromised. Well, obviously, decisions going against them in qualifying. And there are more overtakes than you can shake a lamb's tail at the moment. Van der Holle leads by 0.7 of a second ahead of Siderski. Gandor less than 0.2 behind the Dutchman. And still they are squabbling tooth and nail over that second place. Gandor is not going to let it go without a fight. Siderski will not let go of it without a fight. As Gandor up the inside, through at turn 5 and gets through on the Dutchman. The Canadian retakes second place. Down into turn 6 and 7 they go, as we are quickly counting down the seconds. But because they've been battling, the couple behind them, Lambers and Flood Engelbrechts, are closing in along with Venant. But it's allowing Vince van der Holle to start to slightly pull away. The advantage nearly the best part of a second. So we have lost both Jens Immunen and Cole Denham. Cole Denham did a sterling job at his opening qualifying heat of the weekend, but his second one was one pretty much to forget. As Gandor being swarmed all over the rear bumper by Siderski. Siderski trying everything he can to get through as the timer hits 0. Bran van der Weyken now up into P7, having started 14th. New fastest lap of the race, 56.570. Siderski slipstreams behind Gandor going into turn 6. for what will be the penultimate time. Next time around, we will get the final lap in this last qualifying heat of the weekend for Junior Rotax. And at the moment, well, Gandor has become the cork in the bottle. Flood Engelbrecht's looking for a move on Lambers. Vernon just waiting to see what happens in front. But now with 1.36 kilometres still to negotiate, Vernon goes sweeping to the outside through turn 12 to get the carryover. Last lap underway and the battle for second begins right now. Gandor defends. Stadursky tried to stick a nose up the inside but couldn't get through. Now into two. Gandor just parking that car where he needs to. Van der Weyken, another new fastest lap of the race. 56.371 for the Belgian from Bouvin Power. Vince van der Holle is now 2.7 seconds ahead of Ryan Gandor. Van der Holle has bolted. Gandor doing everything in his power to hold on to that second place. Vernon has got through on Van der Weyken and is now up into sixth. As the leader very shortly will come through into the final couple of corners. But the battle between Gandor et al. Has been rather enthralling. Out of the final corner, it will go the way of Vince van der Holle from Bouvin Power. But will Gandor hold on? He does! What a defensive drive from the youngster from Canada. Ryan Gandor holds off a very, very hungry and motivated Max Sadursky and takes P2, the winning margin, 3.4 seconds. So, Van der Hollen takes it ahead of Ryan Gandor. Max Sadursky, Lars Lambers, Frederick Flood Engelbrechts ran out your top five. Antoine Venant, Archie Lovett, Bran van der Weyken, Albert Friend, AJ Berggraaf, Storm van Rossum, Louis Radcliffe, and from 30th on the grid, Rory Armstrong finishes 14th ahead of Boris Maximov, who started 28th. Christian Sejersen, Harry Freeman, Will Archer, who started 29th and finished ahead of Jackson Gibson and Sebastian Lösch. Shun Sekaguchi, 21st, ahead of Lieke van Berkel, Devon Mieta, Ludwig Hansson, Kazuki Kitanaka, Lionel Munguia, Luca Dumitru, Olivier Chasse and Pauline Van Preek being the last of the classified finishers. And unfortunately, early in the race, we lost both Jente Moonen and the closer, Cole Denham. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and karting friends of all ages, welcome along to the final qualifying heats, the third round of the BNL Karting Series season for 2025. It's Senior Max up now. Qualifying heat 3, Groups A versus B. Here is your starting grid with two notable absentees. No Ollie Yonkers, no Matty Sturlo. So, Taze Van Wyk and Macaulay Bishop making an all Dan Holland Racing front row, ahead of Mateo Radenkovic and Tom Longnois. Attila Kalapax and Nolan Lemarais ran out row 3, ahead of birthday boy Sebastian Koch and Soichiro Shioda. Good to see Sneakers online giving Sebastian a little bit of a good luck, you know, keeping the hand, you know, the praying hands together via the emoji. Ryan Qureshi and Switzerland's Christopher Holst next up, ahead of Jort van Wijk and Bastien Misnil. Lewis Goff and Anya Levant round out the next row, ahead of Charlie Smith and Mehdi Lassued. Theo Lemoigne and Ryan Bourguignon, followed by Titouan Lescali. Then Dante Sima, Rain van der Meer, Ollie Wise, Titouan Rocher, Lloyd Hare, Sacha M, Andrea Remy, Adish Mehta, Ryan Kairos, Laurie Legris, Lola Gervais, rounding out the drivers that will start the race. With the red lights on the gantry, the drivers will now start to accelerate and into the tram lines they go. Revs up, lights on, we are green and underway. Good start by the front row as they head into turn 1 for the first time. Oh, and a couple of drivers, a couple have gone off. One of which I think was the 361 Bastien Misnil. It looked like it was a Kraft Motorsport one as well. Might have been. Possibly, I'm trying to make out the number. It wouldn't have been Lola Gervais on that one. Just looking at the, might have been Anya Levant in the 378. But at the front end of the field is Macaulay Bishop, leading the way ahead of Taze van Wijk. Mateo Radenkovic, is he in 3rd place? No, down to 5th, because Tom Longnois is in 3rd. As the opening lap gets completed. And it's Bishop that leads, Taze van Wijk, Tom Longnois, Nolan Lemarais. Mateo Radenkovic dives up the inside of the Frenchman. Attila Kalapax, good work by Soichiro Shioda, with Christopher Holst now up 2 spots. Ryan Qureshi holding station in 9th. Jort van Wijk now up to 10th place. And Lloyd Hare is one of the drivers that hasn't gone through sector number 2. So the Brits, I think, might be... it's getting a bit frantic down the Europolan. There's a couple of drivers jockeying for position. It nearly went 3 wide into turn 6, and that never works on a Sunday. And I've seen that happen many a time. So Lloyd Hare looks to be out of the race. Rain van der Meer has dropped down into 29th position. Behind Bastien Misnil, the French driver who was tumbled like a stone. Sebastian Koch now has dropped down into 19th position. As the 368 of Macaulay Bishop from Dan Holland Racing, followed by the Dan Holland Racing number 369 from Taze van Wijk. They lead a 1-2 for the team at the moment. But Tom Longnois from Dams Racing is having to fight tooth and nail, especially when one of the people you're battling with is a person of the same stable. That man being Mateo Radenkovic. Now, where is Radenkovic? Radenkovic now P3. Lemarais now through as well on Longnois. So Tom Longnois has to play the long game. There's still one more round in the championship to go, and that happens in 3 months' time. Black and white warning flag being shown to Titouan Lescali, who's in 14th at the moment, as Tom Langlois has returned his way past Nolan Lemeray. There's Attila Kalipax doing a great job, battling away with the likes of Jort van Wyk. As the majority of the field makes its way down the famed Europolan at speeds faster than the speed limit of 90 kph on the main parallel road leading into the centre of Genk. Biggest mover up the order so far from 27th on the grid, now 17th, Andrea Remy from Switzerland. But it is still Macaulay Bishop who has everything to play for. He's looking for a perfect score this weekend of 110 points. And with the way that Bishop has been running this weekend, no one's really been able to stop him, but Nolan Lemeray from RM Concept through on Tom Langlois. That's a change for 4th position. Bishop with a new fastest lap of the race, 55.904. A 10th quicker than his teammate from DHR, Thijs van Wyk, who holds station in 2nd position. But there are still battles to be won out on track. The top 36 will go through to the final later on this afternoon, due to take place at 5:05 local time. So we head on to lap number 6 of this race with 2.25 minutes to go. Soichiro Shiota from Japan trying to close in on Tom Langlois for position. That is for 5th on the road, as Mateo Radenkovic, the teammate of both those drivers, has now put in the fastest lap of the race. Good work by Jort van Wyk, the brother of Thijs, who's currently 2nd at the moment. Jort now up 4 places into 7th, having started 11th on the grid. Biggest gainer so far now, Lola Javet from France. She's up from 31st. Now runs 21st, 1 spot outside of the top 20. But with a gap of just over 0.6 of a second, well, Macaulay Bishop puts in a... Oh, how is this for quick laps? 55.315 Macaulay Bishop. 2 seconds later, 55.314 by Mateo Radenkovic. Both of them on pure pace are flying at the moment around this circuit. Coming up to the last minute of the final qualifying heat of the 3rd round of the season so far in 2025. And Macaulay Bishop is looking to stamp his authority going into the final round and having a good psychological advantage over the opposition, especially the man in the 355 from Dams Racing, France's Tom Langlois. So after this lap, we'll have 2 more to go, and Bishop is absolutely grabbing his claim by the scruff of the neck to the title with both hands. He's going to give everything he can to take this internationally recognised title that has seen the likes of Kai Hillertz, Sean Butcher, Joe Turney, Dylan LaHaye, Oliver Askew, amongst other people in years past. But that moment will be coming to the fore and centre of drivers' minds in 3 months. At this point, we won't worry about it. We've hit 0 on the timer. 1 more lap remains. And more to the point, well, Andrea Remy has just received a black and white warning flag from Race Control. Ollie Wise now up 10 places from 23rd on the grid. Macaulay Bishop will now lead us on to the last 1.36 kilometres of qualifying heats for this weekend. The man from Hoddesdon in Hertfordshire goes across the line to start the last lap of this stage of the competition, and then we go on to the finals after this. And another new fastest lap by the number 368, a 55.137. And through into turn 6 and 7 he goes. Through into the sweeper at 8. Bishop was with his traditional sort of lean back sort of style, the way he sits in the centre of the kart. But it works to his advantage. Through into Cafe Corner, little tab on the brakes. Then accelerate through into turn 11. But what can you say? He's doing everything right, and it's coming good in the second half of the season. Out of the final corner, Bishop wins the final qualifying heat of the weekend, and it's a DHR 1-2. Thijs van Wijk takes second. Ahead of Mateo Dankovic, Nolan Lemarais, Soichiro Shioda, Tom Langlois finishes down in 6th. Ahead of Jort van Wijk, Attila Kalapax, Charlie Smith, and Mehdi Lassoud rounds out your top 10. Lewis Goff takes 11th ahead of Titouan Liscali. Great job by Ollie Wise from KR Sport. 23rd to 13th. Ryan Bourguignon, Christopher Holst and Sebastian Koch round out your top 16. Andrea Remy up from 27th to finish 17th ahead of Sasha M, Dante Sima and Lola Javet, who rounds out the top 20, having made up 11 places in the process. Did the 3-7-6. Anya Levar, Theo Lemoigne, Adish Mehta, Ryan Qureshi, Ryan Kairouz, Bastien Mesnil, Titouan Hochet, Rain Vandermeer, Laurie Legris rounds out the finishers, with Lloyd Hare being the driver to unfortunately retire early in the race, with Ollie Yonkers and Mathis Turlo non-starters. Well, as the highlights start to play on the YouTube stream for you all watching at the moment, we'd like to give you a little bit of a reminder. Please don't forget to find us and follow us on social media. The live timing link is in the description down below. And more to the point, don't touch that dial. We'll be back just before 10 to 4 this afternoon as we go into the business end of day 2 of round 3 of the 2025 BNL Karting Series season, because the first final coming up will be Mini and Mini Max Rookie. Who will be our new championship leaders come the end of this weekend? You'll have to stay with us and wait for a little bit longer to find out. We'll see you in a little bit.